Gentlelady yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Armstrong from North Dakota for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of the testimony brings up many of the problems of ESG in the world of finance. Americans rely on a sophisticated financial investment system every day to plan for their future. Yet the complexities of this system allow ESG causes to take precedence over most important thing of all, which is the bottom dollar. The purpose of investments is to grow our financial security, not shrink it. As you and my colleagues have pointed out, investment in ESG funds does not bring higher returns. I would like to focus a little bit on understanding what duties proxy advisories currently have and how Congress can actually ensure economic interests legally take precedent. I got the two different sides of glasses. So, Mr. Marshall, in a few sentences, can you talk to me a little bit and define how proxy advisors and proxy voting?
Well, you've seen my colleagues reach out to the two proxy advisor firms to be very critical of the nature of how they do business. Really, what I think much of the fundamental discussion that we're having today is what is a fiduciary? And what is that fiduciary responsibility to those hard-earned Americans who have given their money to be invested? One of the things that is clear is that proxy advisors are acting outside of the directive of those particular investors, but instead are making their own independent value judgments about how they vote with regard to certain shareholder initiatives. Clearly, they are connected through various alliances to not only deal with global energy policy, but also a set of preferred societal values. And when we see various shareholder initiatives around issues that don't relate to the bottom line, don't relate to the return for those particular investors, but instead purport to be a political agenda, then they're acting outside of the scope of their responsibility and breaching their fiduciary duties.
Mr. Reyes, what is robo-voting? How does it magnify the power of proxy advisor recommendations? And should Congress consider restricting its use?
Robo-voting, automatic voting has given even more power to the proxy advisor duopoly that is ISS and Glass Lewis. That is part of what we would ask you, Congressman, to look at with regard to proxy voting. The market for proxy advisory firms, as I mentioned and General Martian mentioned, is dominated by two players, Institutional Shareholder Services, ISS, and Glass Lewis, and their combined market share is approximately 97%. So you're looking at predominant market players who influence many of the institutional advisors and asset managers for whom they provide supposedly objective advice for. A study has shown, though, that a significant number of institutional investors simply follow the voting advice of proxy voters. This is like automatic, straight ticket voting. It's common sense that proxy advisory firms should focus on providing objective advice related to maximizing value of shares in the companies that are the subject of shareholder proposals and board of director elections. Unfortunately, for these two particular advisors, they again have very public, purposeful statements about what their end goals and objectives are, including retiring coal plants, including transitioning away from fossil fuels and getting to net zero Paris 2015 goals. It's difficult to see and to imagine that they can be entirely neutral and provide objective opinions for those for whom they're serving when they have such strongly stated goals and when they start every shareholder vote. I think one estimate was they have 38% or so of the votes already locked in, and so it's very difficult to overcome their predisposed decision-making process. So those are all issues that we would like for you to take up in a further hearing with regard to proxy voting.
And Mr. Marshall, if proxy advisors are not acting in the best interests of their shareholders, what current mechanisms are in place to hold them accountable, and what should be accountable to?
One of the things that exists for AGs is under our consumer protection laws, Deceptive Trade Practices Act. I think one of the things that you've seen already is Republican attorneys general have been active on the investigative side using both our consumer protection laws as well as the antitrust laws. Multiple investigations are now pending, and we have the opportunity to be able to report back on those investigations. But as well, I think General Reyes has outlined for this committee various ways that this body can act to be able to rein in what we believe is an unlawful practice.
Well, as somebody who served in state government and the federal government, I appreciate the fact that sometimes you can move more quickly than we can. With that, I yield back.
Hey, before you click on the next video, if y'all could do me a big favor and hit that like button. The algorithm loves it, and so do I, because it helps promote these videos and get the message out about what our government has been doing. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications, because every time I put out a video, you want to know about it, right? Thanks again, and have a good one. See you on the next one. Peace.